Welcome to our Web Extra. We're talking with the Assembly Speaker, Robin Vos, today, and we're talking about some recent comments you made, urging the University of Wisconsin system to invite more conservatives to campus as public speakers. What has been the response you've received to that call?
Well, I've seen some emails come into my office saying that they agree with me. I've had some nasty liberals say things like there's a reason conservatives don't come to campus because they're too stupid to actually speak to us. Well, that's not exactly the debate that we want to have. What I would say is I think by and large most people recognize that we have a problem in higher education with trying to foster ideas on both sides of the aisle on every point of view. If we're going to compete with the free world around the entire earth, we need to be having discussions about every topic, ones that are uncomfortable. You know, this whole idea of microaggressions and trying to protect people from speech, that's not the world I want to live in. I want to live in a world where people have the right to say what they think, and if they're wrong, be called out by people who are smarter than them or more articulate. And if you can't have that in the university setting, we are certainly setting our students up for failure in the long run.
So there's been some pushback by some people at universities saying, well, where did Speaker Vos get his information? We invite conservatives to campus. There's more of that than he says there is. Or maybe he's identifying certain people politically that may not be as accurate as possible. Do you have any response to that?
Well, I mean, of course, some of it is supposition, so I want to be honest about that we looked at all the paid speakers and we tried to figure out if their background was ideological or if their political giving or whatever it would be to try to determine the point of view that they have. And once again, I hope they bring liberals to campus. I have no problem with that whatsoever. Bring people who are of socialist or communist or libertarian. I don't care. But all that I want is to make sure that the students who are there, paid for with taxpayer money or tuition, hear both perspectives and they make up their own mind. That's my frustration, that far too often the academic elite really believes that there's only one legitimate point of view, and that's just not true.
Are you speaking for a lot of members in your body and in your chamber?
Yeah, we have had a discussion. So as our caucus has talked about this topic, I would say it's one of the areas that there is almost universal agreement to say that we want more speech on campus. We want smarter students who understand the topics of our day, not just political, but, you know, a conservative liberal can be in everything from the way that you have educators taught, the way that you teach engineers, the way that you teach people to be a historian. All of those things have a perspective, and I just want to make sure that every student hears both sides.
Does the feeling that there is not enough conservative speech on college campuses, UW campuses, does that play a role in the relationship between the legislature and the university? I mean, do we see that being played out in other ways? Are people perhaps more reluctant to cede to the wishes of the university because they don't feel the university is offering a free exchange of ideas?
That's a good point. Yeah, that's one of the concerns that we have. If the university starts out by saying they are smarter than the legislature, which I think many faculty members have implied, that they know more about what the world is really like than legislators do, even though we're running for office every 2 years, that starts out in a bad way. So I love the university system. As you know, I served on the Board of Regents. Yeah. I mean, I am passionate about higher education. I think it's really important for our future. But the whole point of going to college is to learn a set of life skills that help to enhance what you already know, expand your mind. You know, we saw what's happening at UW-Madison, where they have a cultural diversity requirement. You know, I have no problem with asking kids who perhaps have never met anybody who's gay or African American or any minority to be able to have that conversation. That's what college should be about. But just as important, perhaps there are folks who have never met somebody who's a conservative Christian or somebody who is evangelical or has a different point of view about premarital sex or all kinds of things. I think all those perspectives should be welcomed on campus, and they should all be brought forward, not with some kind of a rigid ideological filter to say that point of view is not worthy. I personally don't agree with gay marriage. I certainly think that's a perspective that is legitimate on campus, not to be shouted down or somehow said that it can't even be talked about. So whatever your ideas are, they should all be welcome on campus. And I think sometimes that bubble of the university keeps things out more than it protects kids. So I really want to help to change that.
So you're a powerful guy in the state legislature. Give me your sense. The university wants additional funding this year. Do you sense that there is a receptiveness to that, or is it going to be tough for the university to get its wishes.
It's going to be tough, not just because of the university. As you know, the legislature put back $50 million of Governor Walker's cuts, so I think there is a great deal of support for higher education in our caucus. I have no doubt about that whatsoever. But we also want to make sure that the money that we are spending is spent wisely, and it's spent on educating kids from all perspectives, not necessarily one ideological prism. And I think we need to show that we are recruiting kids from all backgrounds. We need to show that we are recruiting faculty from all backgrounds. We know that there is affirmative action for minorities, for sexual orientation, for gender. All those things are important. But how about ideology? So when we have somebody teaching political science, there are some who are liberal, there are some who are conservative, there are some who are men, there are some who are women. All those things should be part of the criteria of making a great university system, and I think sometimes we just forget that.
So I just want to be clear as we wrap things up. So is there a linkage in terms of what the university will get and what they're offering in terms of diversity of speech on campus?
I think it's possible. I mean, there's not a direct connection. I don't necessarily have a way to say, geez, you're going to get a bunch more money if you agree to these things. That's not how it works. Right. But I think that showing that you understand that all perspectives are valuable would definitely reinforce what I want to hear as a legislator, which is that I want the best university system teaching the smartest kids to be the best entrepreneurs and individuals working in our society that we possibly can. I think that's possible. I think it happens every day, but we need to be smarter about making sure that everybody hears each perspective. Just one last thing. We hear everybody wanting more civility in politics. Well, civility begins by appreciating and understanding that the other point of view isn't wrong. It's just something you don't agree with. It's not evil. It's just perhaps somebody you need to inform. So if it can't happen at the university where we respect both sides, we have that thoughtful debate, it's certainly not going to be pervasive in society as we go forward. So I think it's fundamental for our democracy to have people disagree respectfully, hear from both points of view, and make up their own mind, be they a voter in the ballot box or somebody sitting inside a university classroom. I think it's good for us all.
Assembly Speaker Robin Vos, we appreciate your time today. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Mike.